Ever since the year that Rolex was founded in 1905 by Hans Wilsdorf and his brother-in-law Alfred Davis, this brand has been pushing the envelope when it comes to new innovations. However, many of these innovations spanned way beyond just the watch community, but had an effect on the entire world. What is going on, everybody? My name is Teddy Baldassarre, and in this video, we are going to be talking about the 4 times Rolex changed the world with their watch innovations. And if you stick around until the end of the video, we're going to be taking a look at a story involving one of the greatest leaders of the 20th century and his Rolex. Can you guess who I'm talking about? But without further ado, guys, let's jump into today's video. So let's paint a picture. It's a beautiful summer day, you're on the beach, and you look out into the water and don't have to think twice about keeping your watch on your wrist because it is a waterproof watch. However, prior to 1926, this would not have been a possibility until Rolex made their first world-changing innovation. Created in 1926, the Rolex Oyster was the first waterproof and dustproof wristwatch. The 1926 watch marked the origin of the term Oyster, which today designates waterproofness among a myriad of Rolex models. In 1927, Rolex founders Hans Wilsdorf famously gave the British swimmer Mercedes Gleitz one of the earliest Rolex Oysters to wear around her neck in an attempt to repeat her swim across the English Channel. The end result was not what Mercedes wanted, given that she was pulled half unconscious from the channel after her attempt, but that Rolex, though, kept perfect time and was completely dry on the inside. This Oyster design is still used in many of Rolex's watches to this day, most notably the Day-Date and the Datejust. And speaking of the Datejust, it is actually the watch responsible for the next great innovation that came from Rolex. When one is thinking about not only the most prominent, but the most useful of complications, the date complication is one of the first that comes to mind. In 1945, Rolex announced the release of the Rolex Datejust. The watch was the first to feature an automatically changing date function and was powered by their newly released caliber 740 movement. The date window was located on the right edge at the 3 o'clock position with intention, since most wearers have their watch on their left hand, and when they raise it up to look at the time, it will poke out from underneath their sleeve. This is a format that has even sustained its ubiquity until this day. This watch is undoubtedly a legend, and to make this story even cooler, I'm actually wearing a Rolex Datejust 1601 on my wrist as I tell this story right now. So sure, creating a watch that was waterproof is one thing. However, trying to create a watch that is 100 meters water resistant, that would be a whole different challenge. However, the man Hans Wilsdorf was determined to achieve this, and with the production of the Rolex Submariner in 1954, Rolex managed to accomplish another great feat. With the help of René-Paul Jeanneret, a board member of Rolex and an avid scuba diver, the Rolex Submariner was tested under harsh conditions to sustain working condition to depths up to 100 meters. Tests in which the watch eventually easily passed. The Submariner owes thanks for this great achievement to its newly developed twin-lock crown system. The Rolex Submariner, upon its release from 1954 on, being featured in James Bond movies and being worn on the wrist of countless celebrities and prominent people in pop culture, has allowed this watch to become an absolute icon. However, as if releasing the Rolex Submariner was not enough to make 1954 a special year for Rolex, they went on even further in releasing another iconic watch from their brand line. The former but iconic Pan Am Airlines requested of Rolex a reliable watch that could display more than just one time zone at once to help their pilots during transatlantic flights. Rolex's answer to this request from Pan Am was none other than the GMT Master, specifically the GMT Master reference 6542. This watch was able to accomplish the dual time zone requirement by adding a 24-hour hand and a rotating bezel to the 25 jewel automatic movement. The 24-hour hand and the regular 12-hour hand are directly linked, allowing the wearer to set the watch to the primary time zone and then adjust the bezel so that it would display the secondary time zone. So the Rolex GMT Master is a watch that I think is underappreciated and gets overshadowed a bit coming out in the same year as the Rolex Submariner. But there is no doubt of its legacy, there's no doubt on its impact, and being one of the best-selling watches that Rolex has ever made. So it is probably fitting that the greatest watch manufacturer of the 20th century has a connection to one of the greatest leaders of the 20th century. The year was 1947, and after Hans Wilsdorf and Rolex successfully reached an important milestone by producing its 100,000th officially certified chronometer. And anybody that knows what it takes to actually become a certified chronometer understands how big of a feat this actually is, especially given the time period in which it was achieved. However, with this great accomplishment, Wilsdorf wanted to celebrate his achievement in a fitting manner. He felt that the 100,000th Rolex chronometer should adorn the wrist of a person that he held in high regard. That person was none other than the great Prime Minister of Britain, Winston Churchill. The landmark 100,000th watch was an Oyster perpetual Datejust. It was an 18-karat gold with a fluted bezel and a white dial with a beautiful Jubilee bracelet. Churchill accepted the compliment and the gift and responded actually with a letter to Hans Wilsdorf personally. It read, "Dear Sir, I look forward very much to receiving this wristwatch, and I trust you will realize how much I appreciate this very kind gesture of goodwill. Yours very faithfully, Winston Churchill." However, in typical Winston Churchill fashion, he had one last request before receiving his Rolex. "I should like the gold case in rose color. The circumference of my wrist is 7.5 inches. I should like to have my coat of arms engraved on the back of the watch, and I attach a copy of it here." A legendary watch for a legendary man. And it's pretty cool to be wearing a Rolex Datejust on my wrist as I make this video. So guys, what Rolex innovation do you think had the most impact? And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that, but also I'd love to hear what is your favorite Rolex watch in general. As always guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. We talk fashion, watches, men's lifestyle, and everything in between on this channel. And I would love for you to join us on our journey here. But until next time guys, be well, and I will see you all very soon.